Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Always Online Multiplayer Gaming Podcast brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things multiplayer related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, as always. It's episode 499, ladies and gents. Next week, last show of the year, will be episode 500. Don't expect us to cover news. Don't expect it. There's like somewhere between 7 and 10 hosts that'll be on that show. We got Troy, we got Matthew, we got Wilfredo, we got Q, we got me. Jason Winter will be there. Havoc's going to try to be there. He's not quite sure on the work schedule right now. We got letters/messages coming in from Brim and Spunkify and Kaylin, since those three can't make the show proper due to work schedule. It's going to be a good time. We're just going to catch up with everybody, celebrate 500 episodes, maybe get some takes on the bigger news of the year, the Activision buyout, the Bungie blow up, stuff like that. It's going to be a great show, and we're going to do it old school. It's going to be audio only, and I'm just going to throw game footage up over what we're talking about. Go back to our roots. Back to our roots. Mainly because A, I think it's cool, and B, I don't want to work 9 cameras. Mainly. We're doing the show live, as always, twitch.tv/MMOBomb, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. Come and join us next week for episode 500 live. We'd love to have you there. And then we'll be off for 2 weeks for the holidays, and we'll see you in 2024. Obviously, we'll be covering news and streaming, and, you know, Troy and I might stream and do stuff like that. But as far as the cast, it'll be off for 2 weeks, as we do every year. Joining me to go over all kinds of fun gaming stuff this week, though, Mr. Troy Blackburn, the Noob Fridge. What's up?
On camera this time.
Yeah, it'll be the last time on the cast on camera for 2023.
Fantastic. Then you can just hear my melodious voice.
I don't know if melodious is the way I would describe it, but it's a voice. It is definitely a voice. Also on the line, back in the States after a holiday break, Mr. Matthew Donofrio.
What's up, guys?
I always have to remember because my in-laws are Donofrio. You prefer Donofrio, right?
Is it spelled the same way?
It is, yeah. The D apostrophe all the way.
Honestly, it could go either way. Like Donofrio, Donofrio. Like, I've heard it.
Yeah, they do Donna. I always remind myself, what does my in-laws do? Because when I met Matt, he preferred the other way. So I'm like, always in my head when I introduce you, I'm like, what are my in-laws? Donofrio. Matthew Donofrio.
Yeah.
The Dino Fries one. What's up?
Dino Fries, yeah. Just call me Dino Fries. What's up, guys? I'm back in the States. Konnichiwa, back from the land of anime, Japan. And yeah, excited. I'm so excited, actually, for the podcast. Best hour of the month for me, and especially this one, because, man, do I have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, so here was the thing. Like, I normally, Matthew's on the very first episode of the month. I don't make him do the first episode of the month if it falls on the first, because then that just kind of that means we got a 5-week month, and it kind of throws my other timing off to kind of get Troy a break, get Q a break, and kind of cycle through people. And so, but he was out anyway, so it worked out, right? He was like, okay, yeah. And I said, you're still good to do the cast this Friday, right? And he's like, yeah, totally. Can't wait to do it. I got a lot to talk about. And I'm like, this dude's been gone for 2 weeks. What the fuck's he got to talk about? Like, he's been in Japan doing sightseeing. So that dude's not playing video games right now.
I wasn't, but I missed it.
What has he got to talk about? And I said, well, here's the news. What do you want to talk about? So I guess I'll turn it over to you a little bit here before we start with the news that happened this week, because there are some things you want to talk about, and one of them kind of surprised me. Hearing you wanted to talk World of Warcraft.
Yeah. So the first thing I did when I got back from Japan, because I was jet lagged that very night, I'm still a little jet lagged, was play classic World of Warcraft just from the moment I got back, like 1 a.m. until the daylight hours and then some. And man, that game is fun. Like, I get the hype. Like, I've never played World of Warcraft before. Like, I think I played like a free trial at some point and wasn't really too impressed by what they call retail, which is like the current updates and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I did play when Classic WoW first launched years ago. I played with a few friends for like that first month, and it was very addicting at first, but I didn't wind up renewing the membership past a month. And now I've gotten further than I did that last time, and I could see myself renewing my subscription.
Oh, he's about to give him another 15.
Another 15 buckaroonies for Blizz. But I don't know, man. It's super fun. It sounds like dumb to say, but it's like it's a true MMO experience, which I find myself not getting when I play MMOs today. Like New World doesn't usually give me MMO vibes.
Boy, Troy is just now about to set his desk on fire.
It doesn't. Like Palia, I played, that didn't give me MMO vibes at all.
Oh yeah, that's a different beast.
I don't know. It's cool to play an MMO and it actually feel like
now.
An MMO.
Are you on Classic, or are you on like Season of Discovery Classic?
Yeah, Season of Discovery.
Yeah, that's like a really unique. Obviously, all the runes have been found already. So didn't take the world long to make the new old already.
I like looking up. I prefer to look up stuff and they tell me what to do.
The whole point of Season of Discovery is to send you out into this familiar world.
It's all new for me anyway, so I guess I'm not really. It doesn't really apply to me.
Troy, any itch to go back with stuff like Season of Discovery and things like that?
You know, the WoW Classic stuff never really interested me. Not that retail is interested in me either, I guess, but World of Warcraft just, you know, I've got a list coming out this weekend where I wax poetic a little bit about some of my pastime in World of Warcraft, but it doesn't make me want to jump back in the game anymore because it's not going to be the same. It's never been the same since back in the day. So, you know, it just hasn't
even
really
changing things up, making a dungeon into a raid, and like none of that's doing it for you.
No, none of that's been doing it for me at all.
Interesting. I do intend to check out Season of Discovery. I did roll a character, but I didn't have time to actually play it. Was doing other stuff. So I will be messing around with that. Perhaps we'll do that on stream. It's the same game, you're just not 19 or whatever anymore, says Decal in chat.
Yeah.
If you think Troy was 19 when that came out, then then I don't know what to tell you. All right, let's get started and cover some of the actual news from the week. Here we go. Oh man, is there some quote unquote fun stuff to talk about today? Woo. Okay, so Bungie's a mess. Still, it continues to be a mess. Obviously, like Troy, it's the season of layoffs, right? We've already covered that on the show before, and so when Bungie laid off, you know, about 100 people out of 1,200, it was one of those, everybody's doing this, and you know, usually it's to make the balance sheet look a little better for shareholders and things like that. But then with Bungie, things kind of started snowballing as the public learned a little more behind the scenes, right? They had the layoffs. The Final Shape Destiny 2 expansion was rumored to be delayed. Marathon was rumored to be delayed. It took them forever. They even sent out a press release after that for something Destiny related that still had the February release date on it. A couple of weeks later, they did finally officially confirm that, it's not February. It's now what? I think June, off the top of my head, is when the Final Shape is going to come out. And that things weren't great, particularly between management and employees. Now, the interesting part of this for me is I'm a very casual Destiny 2 player, right? But I have friends. Troy, our mutual friend Yod on Gaming Gumbo, is extremely into Destiny. And I watch Destiny 2 content I like the lore and stuff like that, even though I may not play it all the time. But it's been rumbling for a while now, way prior to the layoffs, that things weren't great. And I remember, Troy, when they left Activision, there was a lot of, in the community, a lot of hope, right? That, hey, maybe some of the bad decisions that had been made from the community's point of view were Activision driven, and now Bungie's by themselves again. Then Sony bought them with a huge influx of money to retain staff. And things seem to be headed in a good direction. But we never actually saw the fruits of that good direction after that happened. And now it apparently gets worse. According to sources that have spoken to IGN on condition of anonymity, we have obviously opened up our mailbox to current and former Bungie employees that would like to talk under those same conditions. Hit me up, magicman at mmorpg.com, and we'll be happy to talk to you. The fracture between management and staff has gotten even bigger, and the layoffs were kind of just the beginning, because there seems to be a current of Bungie has certain revenue targets to make under the Sony deal, and if they fail to make those by significant enough degrees, Sony's going to take over. Right now, Bungie is just a subsidiary. But Sony may be looking at stepping in. While Bungie currently enjoys some independence, that independence may be at risk. The developer is formally a subsidiary. However, half of the positions on its current board of directors are held by PlayStation and Sony executives, the other half by Bungie employees, with CEO Pete Parsons being a tiebreaker vote on anything if needed. But that current board structure could change if Bungie fails to meet certain financial thresholds, and that means Sony would dissolve the current board and take control of the company. Now, not only has Bungie done the layoffs to try and cut costs, but they've also gone on hiring freezes. Again, these are all according to former and ex-employees that spoke to IGN anonymously in many cases. Cutting travel budgets and holiday bonuses, delaying team events, cutting back on staff morale activities like cooking classes and other things they offered their staff, pausing or completely cutting benefits like employee compensation adjustments and the new hire lunch program, and just all kinds of odds and ends. One individual telling IGN, Troy, this is soul-crushing when they describe the mood over there.
And like you said before, it's not the first rumblings we've had of this. It's not like this is like all brand new information. It's coming to light and becoming more mainstream now, but there have been rumblings about this for months and months now, where folks have referred to, the inner workings of Bungie as a shit show. And that's a quote from Bellular, somebody that he's talked to, from before he said he even said, I didn't think much of it at the time. He said, I thought it was just one disgruntled employee, but then more and more keeps coming out and more keeps being said by more and more people. So the unfortunate situation is that they're not in a good position there. And it's funny looking back when they left Activision. You thought that all the problems were going to be solved and that all the great decisions were going to be made for the game and for the inner workings of the company itself, and neither one is in a good position. The game's not in a great position, the company's not in a great position, and some decision makers, they're doing all these changes, all these layoffs, all these, getting rid of benefits and things like that, when at the end of the day, it's some of the decision makers within Bungie that need to be removed and swapped out.
Yeah, and I mean, it just, like, from a public standpoint, Matthew, it just kind of gets worse, right? Like, there were reports, allegedly, leadership in a meeting referred to QA teams as non-developers. That feels great, right? Your QA team is part of your development team. Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
They don't type code. I get what you may have thought you were trying to say, right? They're not sitting there typing code in most cases. but they are part of your development team. They are absolutely part of your development team. And those were departments hit by a large portion of these layoffs, and a lot of that QA now being outsourced. When asked about executive compensation and bonuses, they initially told staff, no, that way, cutting that wasn't on the table. That's not the way here. Like they're the fucking Mandalorian. And then the follow-up to that, when press got a hold of that comment, was, oh, we considered it. We considered it. Like, it just keeps snowballing. And now, the delayed final shape, the culmination of these many years of Destiny 2 storytelling for the primary story, something people are looking forward to still, given all of this. Management seems to, from the impression we're getting from these employees, have this, our fans love what we do, and they're going to be fine. When staff is saying, no, they're unhappy with things we're doing in game, maybe not unhappy enough to leave right away, but this type of stuff, the way we're being treated, is also leading them to leave. It's not just about make a good game for every single customer. It may be for some. I know Takal in chat is like, make a good game. I don't care. Like, and fine. There are probably many people that have that view, but there are the other ones that say, like me, I'm not giving Activision any money for the last 3 years until the Microsoft thing happened, because of the way they were treating staff. And Bungie's staff is telling managers that is happening. How important, Matthew, is final shape now? Even though it's delayed, like, I can't look at it through a lens that isn't, that better blow the world of Destiny 2 players away, or Sony's taking over if they don't do it before then.
Yeah, I'm not a Destiny 2 player. I played a little bit Destiny 1. But from my perspective, just from the outside, I guess, looking in, I mean, there's no way DLC, first of all, is going to be so good that it saves the company. Although I would have to look at how previous DLC has done for Destiny 2. And if it's that big of a deal for them. I agree with you. In a lot of ways, I'm like, just make a good game. But if a company treats their employees unethically, I definitely have a sour taste in my mouth, and I definitely wouldn't. That would be reason enough for me to not play a game, even if I was really excited for it. I know, like, there's like a big emphasis on crunch in the gaming industry, for example. And I know that, like, when developers don't have to go through crunch, the gaming community is usually very positive about that. They don't want to see their games made by people who are, working their asses off to the point where it's unhealthy. Yeah, no, I think this is. I mean, is this essentially like make it or break it for Bungie? I mean, as in, like, are we seeing Bungie go under whether or not the final shape succeeds? I guess we don't know, like, the parameters of the deal specifically, like what numbers they have to hit. Yeah, I mean, it's just a shame, though. I mean, as someone who absolutely loved Halo, one of my first video games I fell in love with growing up, it's definitely sad to see how the company has what it's come to.
2 questions for you gentlemen. One of them's kind of theoretical, and then the other one is a prediction, if you will. Is a Sony takeover of Bungie necessarily a bad thing at this point? Like, if we're willing to look at it and say, there seems to have been a disconnect with management decisions that predate even the Sony takeover or the Sony buyout. That the community was unhappy, right? And their community team was also impacted heavily by these layoffs, by the way. The front-facing community team, during a time where you could really use some community goodwill, you got rid of a lot of the people everybody was familiar with, like Liana and everybody else, who was fantastic, by the way. I mean, I worked with them for years on stuff behind the scenes and embargoes and stuff like that. They were a great team. Is a management takeover necessarily a bad thing.
Could you relate it to like, I mean, like I see the Microsoft buyout of Activision Blizzard King like a good thing.
I think most people do, yeah.
Right. So I guess if you look at that the same way, like do you look at then the Sony takeover, I guess, or imminent takeover of Bungie, a good thing? I mean, yeah, I guess when you look at it that way, on one hand, it's like Bungie kind of loses. Do they lose anything with the Sony takeover, or is Sony just like? I mean, as someone said in the chat, Sony does make quality games. So like, are they going to be like, okay, you have creative control, but we're gonna just facilitate things?
Well, I mean, the way the board is structured right now, as mentioned earlier, it's half Sony people and PlayStation people, half Bungie people, with Bungie's CEO as the tiebreaker. So on big decisions, direction of the company, new projects, that type of stuff that would require board approval, right now, Bungie is retaining independence. The Bungie staff can win a vote simply by sticking together. Even if everybody on the Sony and PlayStation sides on the board stuck together, they would lose in a tie-break vote. In a takeover, nobody at Bungie has that direct say anymore. Of course, I would assume that they can give feedback and, explain to Sony why we think this is good and this isn't. You should go this way and not this way, Troy. But post-takeover, nobody at Bungie has that capability if the board gets dissolved and it's rebuilt in Sony's image. And remember, Sony they said publicly at least, that Destiny 2 was not the sole reason for the purchase. Obviously, I'm sure they wanted to make money, hence there being revenue targets here in the purchase. But the community infrastructure and games as a live service infrastructure was a huge reason that they bought that company. And remember, Jim Ryan wanted to do like 12 live service games by 2024. Well, Jim Ryan's on his way out, and new leadership under Sony doesn't seem as inclined to go down that live service route as heavily as Jim Ryan was going to. We're probably looking at 5 to 6 live services games in that target. So Sony's direction has changed post-buyout, and Bungie's kind of a mess right now.
Yeah.
And we've seen Sony absorb subsidiaries before, right? Now, I don't think Bungie's going away anytime soon. Will it lose its independence? I think so. I think it's going to. But I don't think it's going to go away. But we have seen Sony, okay, that developer doesn't exist anymore. They're all now part of Sony. Is such a leadership change a bad thing if Destiny 2 and Bungie seem to have been on a leadership rocks as long as we think they may have been?
It doesn't look like a Sony takeover would be a bad thing at this point. I mean, where have they gotten on their own, quote unquote?
It can always get worse, though.
I mean, it can always get worse. But if you're talking layoffs and the
which were
problems
Bungie's
that they're
decision,
having,
not Sony's, by the way.
Yeah. If you're talking all that kind of stuff, how much worse can it get? I mean, Sony could always just shutter the company, I guess, is how much worse they could get. But I don't see them doing that, at least not initially in a takeover. But yeah, it could always be worse. But right now, Bungie looks like they could use all the help they could get. They need something to change, and it's not laying off 100 people, and it's not laying off staff, and it's not cutting benefits and things like that. It's a leadership problem that you have, obviously, from the outside looking in.
Prediction time. Does Sony take over Bungie's board prior to the release of Final Shape? Troy.
No.
You think they're going to wait for Final Shape to come out?
Yeah, I think they're going to wait for Final Shape to see how that goes.
I mean, that is 6 months from now.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, the Destiny 2 is not like the money maker they were looking for in the first place. Right?
Well, it's definitely a money maker. Just take a look at the fucking Eververse. But yeah, it's not the primary reason for the purchase. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the Final Shape will be the final nail in the coffin.
Chirac, you think they're going to wait too until Final Shape? No, Takao, he wasn't saying that it's not a money maker. He was reiterating what I had said earlier, that it's not the primary reason Sony bought them. At least from what Sony said publicly. Destiny 2 makes a ton of money, but maybe not as much as it once did. And that's the problem. That's the big problem. I want to say no. I want to say that Sony, to your point, Troy, and your point, Matthew, will sit back and say, you know what? Between now and the final shape, there really is no new revenue driver besides the way Destiny 2 is already monetized. And so it would be unfair of us to expect a big influx of revenue that is going to course correct enough. So we're going to wait and we're going to see how the final shape sells and how it does for the subsequent months. I would like to think that that is a reasoned approach. But we are talking about corporations.
Yeah.
And
Fuck them, man.
Right.
Just
And
move in and take it.
And I feel like if they watch over the next 2 or 3 months and the cash shop sales revenue continues to slide, I feel like if they trigger whatever barrier they have, or threshold, there's a good word. Thank you, Chirac. Whatever, how it shapes up. I don't know. I'm going to say yes, just to be contrarian, and I think I'm going to give the corporation a little more. They'll probably do corporation thingies, and I'm gonna say yes. So we'll revisit this. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Does Sony do probably the intelligent thing and say there's no new products coming? Let's wait and watch what happens with Final Shape, or do you see a world where even before Final Shape they say your weekly, your monthly, your quarterly revenues from the cash shop and from the existing DLCs is still falling? We're taking over. Because there's not a lot of like new content coming. The new season of The Wish is already started, and it has to last 3 more months than they were originally planning. And the new bits of content that they're going to use to extend that are being put on the back end of the season, not the front end of the season. So it's and man, Bungie employees feeling for you big time right now, feeling for you big time. In other good grief news, Twitch is going offline in South Korea. Now, we had heard rumors of this, Troy, like a couple of months ago, that Twitch was seriously considering this and trying to work with South Korean officials and ISP companies and other entities to try to not do this, but that they were considering it. The costs for Twitch apparently are just too high. They're too high. The fees for internet bandwidth and everything that goes on in the way South Korea's internet infrastructure is set up is too high. They're leaving, and they are going to try to work with content creators to find a new or transition to a new platform. We've already seen multiple videos from content creators in Korea that have tens of thousands of followers, viewers, subscribers, all that fun stuff, where this essentially could end their careers, Troy.
Yeah, it's sad for the creators. Twitch is another one of those companies making a lot of cuts and changes and dropping things here and there right now. Getting those bottom lines at the end of the year to look the way that they should for their shareholders. So, but this could end the way people live their lives over there right now. So it's unfortunate to see that. It's a sad reality of business. But if Twitch isn't doing that well over there, then it's within their right, unfortunately, to cut ties.
How you feeling on this one, Matthew?
So at first, I was like, that's really sad, but I guess it doesn't really affect me personally. But then I was like, wait a second. MapleStory is made in Korea. Like, who am I gonna watch for like first look content, like when it first drops over there? And also like a bunch of like good video games are made in Korea, like Throne and Liberty, right now. If you wanna check out, if you want to check out Throne and Liberty right now,
it's literally just launched.
It's out over there, but not here, and you want to get a feel for it, you're gonna look up Throne and Liberty on Twitch and watch Korean streamers play it. Korea is a huge hotspot for video games, especially MMOs.
Especially esports.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's that's super unfortunate, honestly. Because yeah, and as Troy said, that sucks for Korean streamers who made a livelihood over there. I mean, on Twitch, where we are literally right now.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen content creators, and even here on MMOBomb, although we're no ninja or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but you've seen content creators for years, not just against Twitch, Troy, but against YouTube and any other platform, like screaming, diversify yourself. As soon as you have a little bit of a following, diversify it. Don't get tied to any single platform, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Twitch, whether it's Kick, whether it was Mixer back, like whatever the hell you're on, get on as many other things as you can. And those that have taken that advice might be a little more okay than many. But sometimes you just don't have an option, right? You need the audience to follow you. And if you spent all the early years of Twitch, like I remember when we did Game Breaker stuff back in the day, Troy, it was so ingrained with Twitch that Gary couldn't get the audience to follow it anywhere else, right? Like if when he tried streaming on other things or doing YouTube streaming or stuff, the audience just didn't go. It was too ingrained in Twitch. When it went live on Twitch, boom, couple hundred people in there, no problem. When we went live anywhere else, 20.
Well, look at somebody even as big as Ninja when he made the move to Mixer. I mean, yeah, he had big numbers on Mixer, but it was nowhere near what he had on Twitch. The audience doesn't follow as easily as you would think that they would follow. They're not just going to switch over and say, "Oh, well, now I'm on this other platform." No, they're on the platform that they're used to being on. And if you haven't already, like you said, diversified yourself and slowly built up your audiences over multiple platforms, you can be screwed really quickly.
Do you think I mean, this is a terrible word, but quote unquote helps? Like, do you think it helps those content creators that the entire platform is going away? By the way, this is happening early next year, like February. Like Ninja jumping from Twitch to Mixer, right? That's a platform that exists to a platform that exists. Try to get the audience to come with you. In this case, if you are following somebody in South Korea that you love watching their content, Matthew, as you mentioned some of your favorite MapleStory creators, is it a little easier for you to jump to their new platform because you literally have to if you want to follow them? It's not oh, well, Ninja's not here anymore. I'm used to Twitch. I'm just going to stay here. If you want to see that content creator, you're going to have to go to another platform to do it. Does that make it maybe a little easier to migrate?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it is a silver lining to it, right? I mean,
it's a terrible silver lining.
I mean, it's like a kind of a good move, I guess. Kind of a good news for YouTube, I guess, if they might pick up some Korean streamers, but unfortunately, YouTube live streaming is still kind of dog shit. So it also, like Twitch said, like, oh, we're gonna help them. We're gonna help our streamers like move over to other platforms.
I'm sure. Yeah, let me just get on that help train that Twitch is gonna.
What do they mean by that too? Like, is it YouTube? Is it Twitch?
They're gonna send you a YouTube link.
And Rumble, like, but yeah, it's I mean, I know we're on Twitch right now, but it's unfortunately like the easiest place to live stream and watch live streams. You know? So it's a blow for sure to the current streamers out there because
and even if they successfully make the migration at some point, Troy, it's not an overnight thing.
No.
Whatever your revenue was last month, let's say you're one of the more popular streamers, you're making a few thousand, 10,000, 15,000 even dollars from Twitch ads and subscribers and all that stuff per month. You ain't making $10,000, $15,000 the month this happens. You just aren't. No matter what support Twitch gives you, your income is immediately impacted. It's just a question of will you gain it back over time or not.
Yeah. And your potential audience is going to be spread over probably 2 or 3 services for a while until one kind of sets itself apart from the rest of them.
Until these other
And
services go, damn, it's expensive to operate in South Korea. I'm
Yeah.
out of here.
but then what if you chose the wrong service? What if you didn't diversify again? And what if you like, okay, I think this one's going to be the next big one, and you were wrong,
Yeah.
and it ends up being, you know, YouTube or something, and then you're really screwed.
It's certainly a weird situation for content creators, and I think this gets triggered in May off the top of my head.
And I have to agree with
Or not
Shrek
May,
and
not
Chad a
May.
little
What
bit
the hell am I
too. I
saying?
was
May.
kind of
February.
agreeing with Shrek and Chad a little bit too. I don't know that there's any one streamer that would ever make me choose a platform. I think it would be platform first and then find streamers on that platform.
Whoa. What about us?
I don't think there's a content creator on Twitch.
Troy's like, not even
You would
myself.
jump ship for us, right? If we went to
Not
Rumble,
even for me.
you would jump ship.
Troy's like, I wouldn't watch my own streams if they were
If we swapped to Mixer, this would be the only thing I watched on Mixer at all.
You wouldn't even watch it. You'd be like, Mike, are you going to take care of putting it? Yeah, okay, fine. Then I don't have to worry about any of this. I don't have to worry about any of this. Tori says, if I switch to Kick, or if we switch to Kick, not joining. If we went to YouTube, sure. Okay, there we go.
Oh, we're going to Rumble. Rumble's where it's at.
All of the MMO podcasts will now be in TikTok videos. There's every episode we do will be 90 TikTok videos.
I would watch the shit out of that.
It's just 45 seconds. Bang, bang, bang. You got to watch them all
Every time I
sequentially.
go poop, I'd watch half a show.
You got to watch them sequentially. Okay,
You know what
let's...
Rumble is? That's a good idea. That's a blessing. Don't look it up.
Ninja Panda says F that. No, you don't want to watch an hour-long podcast in increments of 45 seconds or so? What if I show you the newest life hack while we do it? Like, show you how to braid electrical cables in
Do
ways
the
that'll
split screen where
absolutely
one
burn
half
your
of
house
it's the
down.
podcast, the other half of the screen is a life hack. I've seen videos like that where they're not even talking about the life hack. It's just like half of it's a
Having
life hack,
some
and
kinetic
half of it's somebody
sand.
talking about something random.
Exactly. Or we could always get somebody willing to put on, lingerie and hold a coat in front of them, right? For like the beats of whatever song, and then they drop it. Those pause bait videos, for God's
Yeah.
sakes.
What are you watching, Mike?
I have a 16-year-old daughter, so I'm on TikTok monitoring her and making sure she's not doing that shit.
TikTok figured out I was a guy a long time ago.
Okay, let's... I don't even know what to say, Troy.
They show me that kind of crap constantly.
Don't watch it.
Do you click it?
You don't have to click it. That's the problem.
As soon as you just scroll through
if you
they're
scroll
like,
and
use that.
Yeah, if you scroll and you just let it play on your screen, it's registering in there. Oh, by the way, found out yesterday, I shared it on MMOBomb's thing, totally unrelated. Now we're totally sidetracked. Doesn't matter. Yeah, hey, if you weren't sure for some reason, like you didn't pay attention to Edward Snowden and the PRISM program and all of that stuff, the U.S. government has been using push notifications. This is according to Reuters. You can check it out on MMOBomb's Twitter. I linked right to them. Has been using push notifications to gather and aggregate data on location of smart devices. Because almost every app in the world uses push notifications. And depending on your provider, whether it's going to be Apple iPhones or whether you're going to be Android, mostly through Google softwares, Google and Apple, their servers process almost all of those push notifications, regardless of who makes the app. So they've been aggregating this data, and Google and Apple were under gag orders by the United States government to never speak about this. Now that it's gone public, Google and Apple have made statements to Reuters, and Google is up, or was it Google or Apple? I don't remember which. Don't quote me. One of them had said, we're going to now that it's public, somebody said something, we're going to update our what we do with data information.
So scummy.
Yep. And this information has presumably been shared with United States allies.
Oh, good.
Oh, fantastic.
Check it out. If you want the full details, Reuters.com is where I saw it last night, and I felt so compelled that I tweeted it out on MMOBomb's account. So, yes, push notifications on your phone have been monitoring you, and Google and Apple said nothing because they were under gag order by the United States government. Back to video game stuff. Troy, I know you had a little change of heart this week.
I've slowly been having a change of heart over the past few weeks.
I proof the articles before they go out. So, like, I'll assign something to Troy, or Troy will see something and say, hey, I really want to cover this. Can I have this as one of my pieces today? And we're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Or I'll assign him something. Same thing with Matthew Q, this, stuff I write. And I've been watching the tone and tenor of your Throne and Liberty pieces, Troy. And the last one was yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think so. Or a couple days ago. It released in Korea yesterday. And Troy, you really liked this like kind of combat preview video and weather impact video that they put out.
Yeah, the way that they're sort of doing their weapon swapping system is a little different than most other games. Usually you just push a button and it swaps weapons and then you go back to hitting your hotbar. They've got this system in place where you can choose abilities from your two weapons that you have equipped and just put them all on your hotbar and it'll automatically swap weapons for you. And you can equip the passives that you want to use and the defensive skill that you want to use depending on the two weapons that you're using. And it just automatically swaps weapons for you as you go around. And it just looks like another step towards making combat a lot smoother and a lot more interesting and a lot more immersive than what it initially was, early on. Some of the stuff we got complaints from, it was mostly the rooted combat stuff, but there were other problems with the game too. It's just that the rooted combat sort of took center stage. So it looks like they're making some big changes and big improvements and some things that are looking more and more interesting as the game goes on. The gameplay is looking better in the videos. Some of the way they've got the weather systems and stuff where the wind can affect like your crossbow bolts and things like that sound really interesting. Gameplay wise, how much difference does that make? Is it really that big of an impact? I don't know yet. I haven't got to play the game. I'm not in South Korea. So
could you imagine like the hardcore min-maxers and stuff doing some like public event and they're like, this sucks, man. My DPS is getting rocked because there's a fucking strong wind out today. This is horrible.
That's really funny.
I gotta aim to the right for everything.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be super annoying, but it sounds like it could be cool too. Hopefully inside of dungeons and things like that. Unless it's like when The Witcher launched, you remember even inside buildings the wind would still blow.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not like that. But it's sort of a. I'm not saying it's gonna be the next great game or anything like that, but I'm definitely I'm back to wanting to check it out whenever it comes over our direction. I'm not trying to get a South Korean social security number and get into it that way. I'm just waiting for it to come over here.
We see Throne and Liberty next year here, along with Blue Protocol, which is launching its console version in Japan next week. They just announced that this morning. That's up on mmobomb.com. Complete with crossplay. It's not like complete crossplay. For some reason, there's some things that don't it's very weird. Check out the article Q wrote. But if you're in Japan, Blue Protocol console launch next week. Throne and Liberty, Matthew, have they swayed you at all?
This looks sick. I'm excited for this. I said from the beginning.
Yeah, you've been pumped since day one.
That this game looks beautiful and that I would be checking this out regardless just to take in that beauty. So I was always going to play this game, but now that the combat actually looks awesome, I'm very excited, more than I was before. Not enough to move to Korea for a little bit, but
well, then you wouldn't be able to watch Twitch.
Why would you? There's so many. That's true. I wouldn't be able to work. I couldn't do that, and this is my livelihood. But yeah, this looks cool. I'm excited for it to come to the West.
The combat definitely looks
Protocol.
better. Definitely looks better. Now remember, that whole auto thing is just temporarily shut off. Whether it stays that way when it comes west or not, that they're still kind of, deciding on that. But they've shut it off for now, and they've solidified some other aspects of combat. Will it be enough? We'll see when the game launches next year. Speaking of games and launching, Raven Dawn Online is going to have an open beta kicking off next week on December 14th, and then we'll have its free-to-play launch next year in January 16th. So if you're looking for something a little more old school, a little more nostalgia, I've heard, and the team is has shared before too, that a lot of people view this as like a modern day Tibia. If you were into that game, speaking of games, says the Games Podcast. Yeah, exactly. I said games and releases. Yeah, a top down kind of like very very Tibia, open world, land ownership, house building, farming, sea battles, all that type of stuff. Troy, every time I see this, I'm like, Troy would, I think, like this game, but I don't think wants the nostalgia hit that this game delivers. Like, you like these types of games, but I don't know if I could see you playing like an older school, top-down, more nostalgia-inducing graphics model, that type of stuff. Am I wrong? Because it's definitely your genre, but I don't think it's your style to go this far back.
No, that's not typically what I'm looking for in a game. I want some of the old school feel of the games with some of those systems and that depth that you can get into. But I want it in the modern day. I want modern graphics. I want modern systems to carry that load and that gameplay. Looking at this, am I going to try it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you definitely are.
Yeah.
This one's already penciled in for Troy first look video.
Yeah.
So he'll be checking it out in the open beta next week. Matthew, what about you? Are you like, if I had to guess, probably not.
Yeah, this cinematic trailer we're showing doesn't show gameplay. So
No,
if you guys
not
are
at all.
curious,
Yeah,
look that up.
this is just their story trailer.
I looked it up. I am completely thrown off by like the top-down perspective. It's like slanted.
Yeah, you
Like,
didn't
I
like
don't-
it in Echoes of whatever that game was way back when. You didn't
know,
like that view
top-down-
either.
Top-down view I can deal with if the gameplay is super solid, but I don't know why this is like top-down, but then like the landscape and the characters are like slanted. I'm like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You guys, you know what I'm saying. That turns me off completely.
This
Sorry.
is one of those games that I look at and I'm like, the dev team seems super passionate. It does look well put together. I love the artistic style they went for on the trailer here. Might
Me
not
too.
be everybody's cup of tea, but I do enjoy it. I think it's great. And if you listen to it, watch it on mmobomb.com. Like the audio design, it's one of those games that I'm like, you know what? I hope you do really well. You're not my type of game. There's definitely an audience for you, but it comes back to something we've talked about so many times. Like when we talk about open world, full loot PvP. Yeah, there's an audience for that. But you need to make something within reason and financial reason if you want to try to hit that audience, because it's not big. They're just vocal. They're just vocal.
Yeah.
I kind of
Sure.
want to see this, like, oh my God, Troy, our mutual friend Mike Shaffnet, like, right? As far as I know, that dude still logs into Tibia occasionally. Like, that was his MMO for years, was Tibia. He's the audience for this. Is that audience big enough? Historically, we've seen that usually they aren't. But you could tell, man, that this is just a passion project of just love from the Raven Dawn Online team. So I hope behind the scenes they've kind of parsed things out to know that, like, if the audience is this slice, we only need this much of that and we'll be okay. I hope so. because you still have games like this that exist. I said this, what did I say this about before, Troy? Where I was like, yeah, you're trying to get the nostalgia of RuneScape. But RuneScape's still here. Like,
Yeah.
you still have to compete with the games that are inspiring you. And that creates an odd situation sometimes. So I wish them luck. It's not one for me. We'll check it out when Troy does the open beta first look. But next week, whatever, the 14th. So it'll probably go up the following week, right after Christmas. Please look forward to it. If I worked with Square Enix, that's what I would say.
I got that.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate the pity laugh there. Don't worry, gang. Fantastic. The day before team, they're not holding a grudge. Don't worry. Prior to the game's early access launch that happened yesterday, and yes, it did actually happen yesterday, which was a damn miracle. It's a Christmas miracle. They posted a revelations from the team ahead of the day before's release. And we're going to talk about the release in just a second. And it was like a nice little, hey, to future players, you're going to dive in on December 7th. You know, thank you. And we made it for you. And to our supporters, no matter what, thank you for protecting us from injustice and fakes. Get the fuck out of here. Your kind words gave us energy to create this game. Blessings to you. To our supporters, no matter what, thank you for protecting us from injustice and fakes. What? To future streamers showing off the game, you know, we wish you many subscribers. Like, most of this post was fine. You know, just a bunch of thank yous. The longest portion of this, though, is to a person who didn't believe in us. That's the longest portion of this 6 bullet point thing.
This company's not real.
We made this game for you too. We accept any kind of criticism and don't hold a grudge against you. Well, thank you. That's very, very chivalristic of you. Get the fuck out of here. Before we continue moving forward together, kindly allow us to note a few things. Please forgive us for not doing the best marketing and teasers. We learn something new and improve ourselves every single day. No, you didn't, because every time you failed on the marketing and teasers front, you didn't change it the next time. So no, you didn't. Please don't accuse us of scamming. That's not true. We didn't take a penny from anyone. You don't have to take money from somebody to scam them. You used your largest wish-listed game ever on Steam platform to market other side project games to people and software/apps that weren't even game-related in your day before videos. You were using and manipulating your following. And whether it was intentional or not doesn't matter. You don't have to take money from somebody to be scamming or conning them. Please don't accuse us of an asset flip. That's not true also. Our team worked day and night for 5 years to make our dream game a reality. Maybe. I've no doubt there are some people that worked hard. How much of it is an asset flip or not, I am not qualified enough in playing the game. We'll get to that in a second. Enough to give you a ruling on that one. So I'll let this one slide for now. Please don't underestimate our work. It wasn't easy. We are like you. We worked hard, and we're incredibly happy that our game will finally see the light of day for everyone to explore. And boy, did people explore it.
It's been a rough 24 hours. It's been a very rough 24 hours for them.
Currently, the day before, 24 hours after its early access launch, is sitting at an overwhelmingly negative Steam review score with a stunning almost 13,000 reviews.
That's a lot, dude. That's a lot of reviews.
Many of them contain things like nods to server space, which was a huge issue and still is. You're not being able to log in because servers are full, and and bugginess and lag and the general stuff that you might say, that's early access. To which I say personally, nay, you charged me $40 to be here. But you might say, that's early access. The game sucks.
Surprise, surprise.
It's
This is Mike's like
awful.
This is Mike's like pain point.
This game really is. I did not want to because I tell you don't. But I was like,
Don't
I'm going
buy
to do
it.
I'd say don't buy this, don't buy Skull and Bones, which now has a release date thanks to the Game Awards. PS, we were right. It leaked February 16th. It is February 16th. Don't buy that either. Until you've watched this. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give them the $40. I'm going to eat this one. I know it's going to be bad. But maybe I'll stream it after the cast, stream it a couple of times and show people it's bad. And I'll be out $40, but other people won't.
Kira.
Oh, no, I'm not. I refunded the shit out of this.
Okay.
Damn.
I was like, it's not even worth it for me to do a PSA on don't buy this with actual footage.
Well, there's your PSA.
It is awful. It is awful. No, I can't expense it. When I buy games, I personally buy them. No, there's no MMOBomb expense account. And when we get review copies of things, we disclose that in the first looks, right? Like Wayfinder gave us founders packs to go and do that first look. We disclose that in the first look that we got access from the developer. If you don't hear me or Troy or Matthew or whoever's doing the first look say that, and it's not a free-to-play game, it means we spend our own money. 9 times out of 10, it's me spending my money and giving Troy a key or giving you a key. But yeah, and no, there's no expense account for that. It's just the nature of the business, right? I want to be able to do that. But no, I could not in this one. First off, one of the biggest things, this was billed forever, Troy, and you know this, as an open world MMO survival game. It's not.
Not even close.
It's not even close. And if you happen to go to Fantastic's YouTube page, you will see that a lot of the videos that you've seen over the last 2 years for this project are scrubbed from their own YouTube page. They have taken them down because they show features and allude to features that aren't features. It's an extraction shooter. It's Tarkov without the being good.
Yeah.
You have a home base, a hub where you see all the players and you talk to NPCs. You go out the door, it loads into the city, which is nowhere as big as they've ever presented it. And 90% of the buildings you can't fucking walk into. Like, you just can't. It's a small city. It's boring. The zombies are brain dead. Like, well, that's ironic, right?
Yeah.
Literally, I spent time just letting one swing at me, and I just kept walking in the slow circle around it, and it just couldn't hit me. The shooting mechanics are awful. You can't vault over things. That doesn't happen. You have to jump up on top of, like, counters and stuff like that. There's no melee. It's buggy as all hell. You'll see videos of people falling through the worlds and stuff like that. It's boring and it's shoddy and it's bad. And I tweeted yesterday, Troy, because they were like, don't call us a scam. I tweeted after I'd played it and got my refund for it, which, by the way, the server issue asked a lot of people out of refunds, and I bet you Steam starts making exceptions.
Mhm.
I bet you they start making exceptions for this one. I tweeted out, it's okay to call this a scam now. This was not, if you felt bad about saying it before, don't. It's not an open world MMO at all. And a ton of the stuff that they've promised. And this isn't even like you're looking at it, Matthew, and you're like, this is early access. You know, we're going to add this at this time, this at this time, this at this time. I'm sure, right? that they're going to add things over time. But there are core tenets you were advertising in this game that you are not implementing in the next 6 to 8 months that you've forecasted before launch. There's just no way. Don't fucking buy it. Don't do it. Don't.
Mike, what would you do if this game did like a 360, like No Man's Sky kind of deal?
I would eat my socks. I would pull them off of my feet right now. I wouldn't even wash them.
On stream?
I would eat them. There's not a chance in hell. Troy, have you been watching this like absolute cluster?
Yeah, I've been trying to keep up with as much as I can, and just for the record, as of right now, the Steam description still says post-apocalyptic open world MMO.
Yeah, at least change the description.
Yeah, I have that on the screen right now because I screenshotted it. Do you know why? Because I felt like at some point they were going to change it.
Yeah, they're going to change that.
Oh, and so you might be wondering, Matthew. I hear you asking, and that's a good question, Matthew. That's an absolutely great question. Well, what's the team saying? All this initial feedback, what are they saying? Well, I'll tell you. Yesterday, they said after 5 years of blood, sweat, and tears, we can finally say these words. The day before is out now, and they provided a Steam link when it went up. On Twitter, they also said a little bit later, overload on North American servers. The servers are working, fills up too quickly. Hashtag the day before. 2 hours ago, a huge update, including server and AI fixes, is coming in a few hours. Hashtag the day before. No links to what was being fixed or anything. No, that's it. That's it. You might say, okay, well, wait. Well, like maybe they're not saying anything globally, but they're responding to people. No, they're not responding to people. The best part about this is their initial tweet yesterday that advertised the Steam link and saying it was there now has reader added context added to the tweet.
I love when that happens.
Readers added context they thought people might want to know. The game was falsely advertised for years as an MMO survival game, and it is an extraction shooter. The game's Steam page, as linked in the original post, clearly states this. Read reviews before purchasing this game.
Nice.
On their own Twitter, they got readers contexted, Matt.
It's great. It's poetry.
And I don't remember if it was their Discord or their forums where they've already announced that the negativity is too overwhelming for them. And
wait, what? I didn't see this. What?
Yeah, I need to find where I saw this at.
Oh,
but the negativity was too overwhelming for them, and they're going to focus on the feedback. And they posted a link to where they wanted the feedback related to, and that they couldn't monitor and moderate all of the negativity, so they were shutting down like a forum or their Discord or something. God, where did I see that?
Wait, what? Like, you gotta find that for me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you have to find that for me. I will write that up right after this show. Please find that. I can't. I'm just like generically searching day before negativity, and this is, you can imagine the type of search results I'm getting on that. It's an absolute shit show, and we knew it was gonna be. Like, there was no secrets, Matthew, that this was gonna be a train wreck.
Yeah. I wonder how well it did it sell well, you think?
The day before, thank you. Who put that in there? To Cal. According to Game Rant, the day before shuts down its Discord after surge of angry players.
Discord.
The day before's official Discord server has been shut down due to overwhelming complaints, bug reports, and criticism from players. The game was marketed as an open-world MMO set in a zombie apocalypse. Players quickly discovered it was actually an extraction shooter, leading to further outrage. Despite a statement from the developer denying it was a scam, the server shutdown was necessary to manage the overwhelming toxicity, and a promised patch to address issues has no set timeline. Oh my god.
Apparently they're also deleting threads on the Steam forums.
Wow. Oh, here's the mod statement as reported by PC Games. The day before mods locked down Discord, urged players to refund. So it wasn't the company, it was their own mods? The day before Discord, mods have closed the server, confirming that a patch is on the way and urged unhappy players to refund on Steam. After enduring a wave of angry comments from players the day before, mods over its official Discord channel have closed the server. Furthermore, the team has issued an update that a patch is in the works and urged unhappy players to refund the game on Steam. The latest development follows the day before launching to a landslide of negative reviews, blah, blah, blah. Discord mods had to weather the anger from players in light of all of this in place of developer Fantastic, which forced the team to lock down the entire server and issue a statement. We've made the decision to temporarily lock the channel for several reasons. Firstly, it's essential to let things calm down due to the overwhelming toxicity that we currently cannot manage effectively. One mod, simply named Kenton, explains. Secondly, we need to channel all bug reports to the development team, and we can't accomplish this if we aren't allowed to share those reports. Continuous moderation here is diverting our time away from addressing major bugs and making crucial fixes. A patch is in the works, so please be prepared for an upcoming game update. During the initial outrage, the same mod tried to communicate with players and curb discussions towards more productive matters to fix issues, but was instantly drowned out by constant comments. In this statement, the mod urged unhappy players to consider either following the Steam refund policy or patiently awaiting improvements.
To the people who didn't believe in us, get your Steam refund.
Yeah, I saw that too before the cast, Chirac. I looked up. I wasn't going to bash them about it. They had like 38,000 players very quickly after they launched. They're currently at 11K. Yeah, I guess it's doing better than Redfall. Okay, yeah, Timbo brings up a good point. Troy, does Skull and Bones have a better launch than the day before?
Oh God. I'm going to say yeah, because there won't be nearly the amount of people trying to play it.
What do you think, Matthew?
Am I the only one who thinks Skull and Bones looks cool?
Yes.
I love
Yes.
it.
You are. You're the only person on this planet.
No shot. Everyone loves pirates. I'm not the only one.
I think it'll be better too. I think there's not that I'm holding any hope for Skull and Bones, but I think it'll be better than this one too. Like, I mean, it has to be, right? Right? He
Low
says,
bar, but yeah.
He says questioningly, right? it
Their reviews will only be mostly negative.
Mostly negative. Hey, real quick, what did you guys think of the Game Awards last night? There's a ton of multiplayer news. It's all over MMOBomb. I still have a few more to push, so tons of multiplayer news, including some new reveals, some release dates we didn't know about for certain things. We had the finals go ahead and ninja launch last night. Check out MMOBomb. Matt did a great job writing up a bunch of the things that happened during the show that were multiplayer related, but not sticking directly to multiplayer related stuff. Matt, what'd you think of the Game Awards?
It's fucking great. I watched it all 3.5 hours this morning. Most of the trailers I enjoyed. I made a list of all the games I'm looking forward to. It's a little disappointing that the show is basically like 80% trailers and 20% actual awards. I mean, it's basically E3 at this point, but I personally don't mind that. I look forward to it every year. And I thought this year was probably the best one yet. I enjoyed everything about it.
What do you think, Troy?
The Christopher Judge comment about his speech was longer than the Call of Duty
fantastic.
campaign was freaking fantastic.
That was hilarious. Yes,
it was the only bit of
funny.
comedy that was funny.
Yeah.
That's true. The jokes
and
were bad.
it's funny because it's true. And then as far as the game trailers, there were several that I was interested in. There was a lot of snooze festing going on. But the fact that Arcane Leon is doing a Marvel Blade game,
yeah,
instantly, like I got this like butterflies in my stomach. I was like, ooh, This could be amazing.
Like you could tell
Back to a
that they
single-player
stayed really
experience that
far
they're
away from
good at.
making Blade look like Wesley Snipes. They like stayed
Yes.
very far away.
Yeah.
They were like, we don't want to run any. The Muppets were funny too. You know, the Game Awards keeping on those trends while they're hot and inviting the Muppets. Way to be on it.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Matt. It was disappointing to me, the sheer number of advertisements. Like it was a lot, and I get it, right? You got to sell ads so that you can host an event like that. I'm not, pie in the sky and think you can get away without doing ads at all. But like everything that wasn't an ad or a world premiere trailer shown in the show felt so rushed, so rushed.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to celebrate the
Dude,
people, like
gave Kojima like 20 minutes.
everybody was getting like
so
rushed
annoying.
off the stage for their acceptance awards.
Yeah.
They were just bunching some awards, right? It was just Jeff Keighley looking into a camera, and I'm going to rattle off these next 4 awards and who wins them. We're not going to have anybody up on stage. We'll give them you can hit us up at the buffet afterwards for the trophy. Like it was very, the ads, ugh. It kind of felt a little grimy to me on that aspect. There were things that I did like seeing. I'm showing Exoborn here, which is a multiplayer game coming next year. Ironically, by Shark Mob, the team behind Bloodborne. Yeah, I know that's in maintenance mode, but yeah, this is another extraction shooter. There were plenty at the show last night. There were plenty.
Hunt.
Yeah, Blood Hunt. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. But this is one I was like, that's kind of neat. But then on like the single player front, I really liked Exodus, the one that Matthew McConaughey is in and introduced.
Yeah.
Chat talking about the Jurassic Park one. I thought the Jurassic Park one looked fantastic until it was just some rando fake character. I was like, you had Sir Richard Attenborough, at least it sounded him. If it was an impersonator, that was tremendous. Do the voiceover at the beginning. You reference that this is going to take place on the island after the disaster of the first movie. They got left behind on the island. I don't know about you. It looked great, but if I'm going to play a Jurassic Park game from that time period, I want to play one of the characters. Like, I want to be Dr. Grant or Ellie Sattler or Ian Malcolm or Arnold or Dennis Nedry, like something. Just this rando character. She wasn't from the original movie. If she's from the original movie, then I need to go back and watch because I have no idea who that character was. No idea. Maybe it's just me. It looked great though.
Yeah, it looks like it could be fun. Like you said, I'd rather play one of the known characters in it, but at the same time, I get what they're doing. Like all that's over with now, and so now you're kind of alone on this island. So yeah, they had to do something with it. So it would have been hard to make it one of the main characters at that point.
Why? Why?
Because they're all off the island. We see them get off the island.
Yeah.
Or they die.
Got a point.
One of the two.
Okay, so it's Dr. Maya Joshi is the name of the character. So let's do... Yeah, no. No, I'm getting real Dr. Maya Joshi. And I know when I put in Jurassic Park here, I'm just going to get, Jurassic Park Survival. Yeah, it's just a random InGen scientist left behind in the evacuation of Jurassic Park. I don't know. It did look cool, though. I'm probably going to play it. Let's go do
Gameplay can trump all.
Yeah, it can. Let's go do the weekly bombs. Troy, you're up.
The bomb to Arcane doing a Marvel Blade game. It's going to be single player. It's going to be back to their strengths and what they do best. The team behind Dishonored, The Loop, things like that. Looking forward to what they've got in store with that. It's going to be a long time coming. They're nowhere near getting ready to release that, but I'm super hyped for it.
Yes, Flynn, I've read the book many times, enough that I've had to buy multiple copies of it. When I was a teenager into my 20s, I'd read it so many times that I tore it apart. Matthew, go ahead. That and the name didn't sound familiar to me.
Dub Bomb to a few games from the Game Awards that I'm looking forward to. We got Windblown from the guys who made Dead Cells.
Yeah, that looks good.
Pony Island 2, Panda Circus from the guys who made Inscription. Visions of Mana.
Yes.
Hello? Dude, that's gonna be awesome. The No Man's Sky Earth
I don't know, man.
one planet thing. It looks interesting.
I don't trust him as far as I could throw him.
I definitely don't trust.
Give it 10 years after it
okay.
releases, and it'll be the game that he's saying it's gonna be.
And my most anticipated game, Skull and Bones. Over to you, Mike.
There you go. You don't have long to wait. I'm gonna give an A-bomb to the day before. I mean, do I need to say more? No, I'm not saying more. I said enough. And I stand by what I said. It's a scam. Terminus Tartarus says, Da Bomb, WoW Classic Season of Discovery. You asked once, what game, excuse me, would we like to experience again fresh? I answered Monster Hunter World. But actually, I think it's World of Warcraft. But not just with my knowledge removed. Everyone's knowledge and every site, every wowhead, everything about it removed. So we can all figure it out together right from the start again. While Season of Discovery is not quite that, not even close really, it is something new. There was a part in Darnassus where you had to click on a skeleton. If you don't know about it, you'll totally miss it. When you have two people, then you can do a summoning on that skeleton and you get a rune with it. This truly felt like Discovery, and I love it. An A-bomb to Winter. No, not Jason Winter for once. Actual Winter. Here in Munich. Howdy to Munich. Everybody in Munich. Everybody in Germany. Shout out to all of you. On the outskirts, all trains are stuck in a white sticky substance called snow. Why is your snow sticky? Yes, it is not a substance, but aggregate form, whatever. Yeah, so I was not able to go to work. To bomb to my employer, who just gave me a day off without me even having to ask. I am a little concerned about German snow being sticky. I would like more information. If you could, throw it in the comments. Troy, go ahead, take the next one.
Takao 23.99, the bomb to the Game Awards for reminding me that I couldn't care less about how the sausage is made. I don't care about what your team went through to make sure the accessibility options got put into the game. Just show me the trailers. Also, A-bomb to the Game Awards. What they showed me was not impressive, like at all. Where are the big hitter reveals?
Yeah, I was also I forgot to mention this, also a little disappointing, and it's not like I expected them to, right? Like last year and the year before when it would have been appropriate for them to say something about Activision Blizzard accusations and they just stayed away from it entirely. Mm-hmm. They should have said something about layoffs, and particularly this year, which have seemed to have been a lot worse than previous years. I get why they stay away from it. Doesn't mean I have to like it. I wish they would have said something. I'm just mentioning it because I wish they would have said something last year too. Go ahead, Matthew. Take the next one.
Flynn said, "Da Bomb to Visions of Mana, new Mana title hype." Yeah. Agree.
Absolutely. Timbo James saying, A-bomb to Cyberpunk getting ongoing service award. Yeah, that was really weird. Although you're jumping ahead to my question of the week. So fixing your game and adding DLC makes you a service game now? Yeah, that was very weird when that took. I don't know. Question of the week last week is selling content skips or whatever, all flight points unlocked, that type of stuff. Okay with you in MMORPG cash shops, why or why not? This coming on the heels of our Guild Wars 2 discussion last week, where hero points are now available for purchase. Drunk Support Character, great YouTube name. I have only had Guild Wars 2 for 6 months, and I'm enjoying my time, and I've bought a number of things, but I have my own routines as well. As a newer player who basically likes the community but shies away from PvP, WW, and the fact that the game is older, it's built on an old foundation, and sure, that's part of its charm. But boy, I feel it's disrespectful in my time. Doing story and whatnot, needing to find a group for an HP farm, and for me, even that is hard as the groups are on at peak times, typically when I'm personally at work. I have the hero points I need for what I wish my character to be, and if anything, if people want to be efficient, they can do easy hero points that they know, then just fund the rest of their from their golds to gem conversions. That's fine for me, as I like to grind with trains. Overall, I just Feel it's a bridge for those who no-life the game and wish to train more alts up using the gold to gem route, or helping out the casual player who needs a bit of a push to get the skills that they really want. So kind of a good and bad on that one. Gave us both sides of it. Thank you so much, by the way, and I said this in your comment in a reply on YouTube, for giving us a little newer player's perspective, right? Only playing it for 6 months, that's very new and great perspective to have added to the show. Thank you so much. Hope you'll answer future questions of the week and give weekly bombs too. Go ahead, Troy.
Breckner says, if the game starts selling those early on, yeah, it's an issue. But when your game is 5+ years old, selling ways to catch up seems okay to me, since the people who play regularly won't be affected by it.
And Troy, that's kind of where you fell on our conversation last week.
Yeah, I'm pretty okay with this kind of stuff.
Go ahead, Matthew.
Silva said, I don't agree on skips for new players on their first character, but if you have reached max level, grind reputation, skill points, content unlocks, etc., I have no problem having skips for alts. Having said that, if an MMO is paid by subs or by an expansion, then ideally it should be a free unlock and not a paid one.
Yeah, and this one is, Guild Wars is a buy the expansion game, right? The base game's free to play, but you do buy the expansions. Cymex chimes in and says, the gold to gem conversion is so reasonable in Guild Wars 2 that it's pretty hard for them to make the game pay to win. I think selling hero points is fine because getting 250 hero points is trivially easy and pretty much a formality at this point. If they eliminated hero points completely from the game, it would actually change very little. And I actually agree with Cymex there, with the exception of the gem conversion being reasonable. I know this is like a overtime thing and it goes in cycles, but right now it's not actually all that reasonable. The prices are going up on that conversion right now, largely due to the new items that were added that people want from the cash shops and things like that. So I know it'll go back over time. I get what you're talking about, but right now it's a little more inflated than it normally is. Question of the week this week: who got a game award that totally deserved it in your book, and who got robbed of one and why? Let us know in the comments below, and you can let us know how you felt about the entire show, Game Award show, the day before launch, the Bungie situation. Let us know what you're thinking. Give us your weekly bombs, dub bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad in the world of gaming or just life in general. Until next week's 500th episode, that will have very little news, just a bunch of dorks talking about stuff and saying hi. Where can everybody find you until then, Dino Fries?
YouTube. Go find me on YouTube. I make content. Thanks.
Troy.
You can catch me on Twitter at NoobFridge.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally on Twitter right there, magicman1 on X. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so you'll know every time we're going live with a podcast, first look videos, giveaways, interviews, so much more. Stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.